What's going on, people? Georgio Savvides here, founder of the Hip Hop Orchestra, as well as the host of the Hip Hop Orchestra Presents podcast. And I got a really exciting announcement to finally make with everyone, is that we have our very first official sponsor for the podcast. Now, they are an amazing company called Eldon's Vault, who are extremely dedicated in bringing you the very best in officially licensed merchandise from pop culture. And when I mean the very best, I mean the very best. They provide things like keyrings, caps, t-shirts, to Funko Pops, to statues from all over, such as DC, Marvel, Disney, The Mandalorian, Harry Potter, music artists from all over the place, and they are ridiculously good. I've got a couple of things to show you on offer at the moment. This trust with their stuff is amazing. So, t-shirts, like I mentioned, like I'm wearing right now. It's got Rocky right here, which I absolutely love. Or, like I said, also got Funko Pops as well, 3.75 inches and 10 inches. I've got a couple of 10 inches right here for you. I've got Post Malone right here, and I've also got Biggie right here, who I absolutely love. These are so sick. Eldon's Vault, trust me, they are amazing. Now, I'm going to leave the link below in the video right here, and also in the description below as well in all future videos from the podcast. But trust me, Eldon's Vault are amazing. Website is www.eldonsvault.co.uk. Get in touch with them now and start buying ASAP. But also, before I forget as well, I just want to say the biggest thank you to Eldon's Vault for sponsoring the podcast. It means the absolute world to me. Thank you. And trust me, get in touch with them right now. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And peace. Welcome to episode 42 of the Hip Hop Orchestra Presents, and today we're joined by a wicked guy today, man. TV host, TV presenter, documentary maker, and poet, Aaron Roach Bridgeman. My guy, how you doing, man?
Thank you. That was amazing. Thank you.
It's my pleasure, man. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you, sir?
You know what, sir? I'm doing really well, thank you. Really well, thank you. You've been keeping busy?
Yeah, I've been trying to. It's getting back in line now. So
Yeah,
things are starting to happen, but I think it's still a bit tentative because everyone's like,
yeah,
are we going to go back into lockdown? Can we start doing projects? What's going to be the new regulations for projects? So like, I think everything's up in the air at the moment, but slowly but surely things are starting to happen again.
I think, God, man, like, how has lockdown been for you? It must have been crazy for you.
Yeah, do you know what it is? I think for me, at first, the hardest thing was understanding that everything was out of my control. I had to kind of understand that I'm a person that I like to be in control over what I'm doing and what's happening, but I had to kind of get to terms with the fact that I had no control at all. I had to just accept things for what they were and try my best to adapt to how things were going to be, which was extremely hard. Like those of us who are freelancers, those of us that work in any form of performance or with crowds and audiences, we were completely at a miss, completely completely confused, completely in a state of limbo. So it was really hard. Like I was in the middle of doing a little tour that I was doing as well, called From Troubled Teen to TV Screen, but obviously that was in schools, colleges, establishments. I couldn't do that anymore. So
really,
I think it was the art of adaptation is what lockdown was for me, and I think for a lot of us, how well can you adapt? How well can you get on?
Yeah, man. Did you have like loads of other work as well, cancelled last minute, or?
Oh
yeah.
I had like a big, massive show that I was meant to be hosting for the RAF with my class. That was in Birmingham and London, and both of those shows got cancelled like maybe a matter of days before. I had a project that I was supposed to be possibly starting, but then that completely got thrown in the air, and in the end, the commission got lost. Like so much things like that. But to be honest, when you speak to a lot of people, it's very similar stories. So I can't really be too upset because I'm no more special than anybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but get back on it now.
Of course. Because I know about your journey for years, bro. Like you've been absolutely killing it, man. Absolutely smashing it. and just to sit like hear what you've been going through as well. Like, see, like, as a freelancer, like you said,
Yeah.
having everything like a packed out year to having everything like last minute just dropped.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking, isn't it?
100%. But do you know what? If I'm honest with you, if you learn anything in this industry, it's you learn how to deal with disappointment.
Yeah.
like real talk. Like disappointment is a natural thing in this industry. So many times you get all the way to but signing on the line, and then all of a sudden, oh, that's not happening anymore.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that over the years I've had so many deep disappointments that I've learned to deal with them. I wasn't as bad as I thought I was gonna be. Because even when I started seeing stuff was happening in terms of how bad this stuff was getting, I was like, you know what, this actually might end up being a serious problem, and I might actually end up losing a lot of the stuff that I'm trying to do. So I think my mind kind of started to understand that was a possibility. I was hoping it wasn't, but my mind started to understand that. And so, yeah, but in general, I would say if you're going to be in the entertainment industry, in the media industry, TV industry, music industry, understand that disappointment is something that you have to kind of get terms with and be able to just pick yourself up and keep going.
Of course,
it happens a
you
lot.
tell me about it, because we've all been in the same journey, haven't we? Like that sort of disappointment of like having things like you said, starting on the dotted line, then it gets dropped last minute, and you got to like brush it off and go to the next thing. But how do you kind of deal with that kind of signing on the dotted line, then having it dropped and moving on to the next thing? Do you have a kind of way of sorting out?
Yeah, bro, it still hurts.
Yeah, of course it does.
Like, it still hurts.
It always will. It always will.
Especially when you start mentally spending the money on things that you need before it's come in, because you think it's happening, and it's like, oh God, all right, well that's not going to happen. I need to think about where that money's going to come from now. But I think one way that you have to deal with it is understanding your value and understanding your ability. If you have faith in your ability and your value and what you can bring to a project or even bring to the world in terms of your ability, it allows you to stay optimistic in those dark times.
Of course.
And I think that only comes by you trying to really get great at what you do. If you really spend a lot of time to try and hone your craft to the fullest of your potential, and then some, then you know that ultimately, do you know what? That might not be for me, but what I have to give to the world, or what I have to give, is undeniable. So only at a certain point, it's gonna come, or something's gonna come for me, and that helps you to keep going. And I think that's why, and I say that because I feel like we're living in a time where I think some people don't think that being great at something isn't as important, because we have the internet, we have all this, you know what I mean? But being great at something is still very much important.
Of course it is. Of course, and you are someone that is beyond great at what they do. Because, like we said earlier, I've been following your journey for years, man. I think the things that you've done is incredible, and you're such a natural. You seem like, although I know you put so much effort and hard work over the years to get to that level, but you've got to that level. Like, you seem like such a natural what you do now, and you're a guy that does so many different things. From, like we said earlier, like TV host, presenter, documentary maker, poet. I mean, how do you, obviously I would like to break these things down in a bit, but how do you kind of multitask doing so many different things at the same time?
Do you know what? I find that some of them, or most of them, have kind of become almost as one now. It's like it's second nature. But if I'm really honest, when I have a serious project, whether it be something that I have to, like, even like in terms of poetry, like I did my first poetry performance for like years in March.
I saw that.
Yeah, and the guy that does the event was trying to get me to do that for a while, but I told him, look, if I'm going to do it, I need some time to get ready and practice, and like, because I felt like it's a craft. It's like I can't just go on stage and start just like spitting rhymes. It's not that. It's not that way inclined. So I took a lot of time, and during the time that show was, during the period of time that show was going to come, I was very much focused, like a lot of evenings, just trying to just work on my poetry skill.
Yeah.
So why I say that is that you say that I multitask, and I guess I do, but if I'm really honest, when I've got a project that's coming up, I put all of my energies into that during that week or whenever it is. The problem is when I have numerous of those things happening at the same time, that's when it starts to get a bit messy. And I feel like sometimes I don't like to ever not dedicate enough energy to any one of my crafts. But sometimes when things do get busy, I can't lie, it does happen, and maybe something will be at a miss, which is why I said I wanted to take time to get back on stage and really give it my best, because I didn't want to cheapen the art or cheapen myself. You
Of
know what I mean?
course not. Yeah. How did you find it personally when you finally went on stage in March after so long?
Oh, bro, it's weird because I go on so many stages to talk to people and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's easy to a certain extent. You still get a few nerves, but I get into it and I start vibing. Bro, getting on the stage to perform, like, I was so nervous. Like, I went to the toilet about 4 to 5 times, going over all of my poems while I was in the toilet, pacing back and forth, trying to stay calm. But when I got on stage, do you know what it is? I can't lie. The hosting helped me,
Mm.
because in between poems and stuff, like, I know how to manage a crowd. So I know how to entertain a crowd. So even where my nerves were there, what I was doing in between was almost a bit like entertainment, really. So I was hosting in between.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I was cracking jokes with the audience and stuff.
Sick.
Then them laughing and stuff kind of put me at a more relaxed state. So I come out with another poem where I was a bit more confident.
Yeah.
And by
Yeah.
the end of it, I was loving it, bro. Like, they had to literally drag me off stage. Like,
That's sick.
I went over the time, like, and they had other poets to come, and I was like, sorry.
Well, you smashed, because like you said,
Yeah,
I watched the video of you doing after party. You
yeah,
actually
yeah, yeah,
smashed it, mate. Sick. And like you
yeah.
said, like those nerves didn't seem like you had them any nerves.
Everyone says that.
Yeah, that's it. That's why people don't realize it's like kind of the behind the scenes practice and craft that you
Oh
put in
yeah,
behind to get to that stage. People think,
yeah,
oh, it's just easy. You walk on stage, do a
yeah,
little poem or performance, and you walk off. Bro,
yeah.
it's not that easy, man. Like we spend
Do you know what it
hours.
is?
Yeah, go sorry.
The real art here is going on stage or going in front of camera and making it look seamless.
Yeah,
Because really, truly, it's not seamless.
it's
A
not.
lot has gone into it, like practice or whatever else. But the art is going on stage, going in front of camera, and being like, this is natural. This is what. But really, truly, if, as you know, a lot goes on behind the scenes and in prep, and before that,
Mm,
to make it seem like it's seamless, it really isn't.
it's not
Like,
at all.
I put a lot of work into whatever I do. I put
Yeah,
pressure on
man.
myself as well, which is good. You got to
Yeah,
put
it's
pressure on
good.
yourself.
You have to, for sure. I'm the same. I put so much pressure on myself to get it perfect. I'm such a perfectionist, like I'm sure
It's
you are
good.
as well. Yeah, man. But for a typical sort of poetry like that, for instance, what's the kind of process that you go through? How long does it kind of take you to kind of put on a performance like that?
Um, well, for me, the first thing is knowing the poems inside out.
Hmm.
Because the thing with poetry is, well, my poetry especially, is that it's written in such a way that every line needs to be as I've written it to be performed.
Yeah,
So the first thing is taking time. But the thing is, I've got a very good memory, but memory's all good. But like I say, I've got to remember every single intonation, pause, physicalization. So I spend a lot of time doing that. Maybe, but if I'm really honest, like, I could probably just take a week.
mm,
Yeah, I shouldn't
yeah.
say this because everyone that I told that to give me marks, they're gonna think what? But if I'm really honest, I take like about a week intensively, where maybe every day I'm going over the poems inside out, and sometimes even adding new things to them in terms of how it's to be performed, and that would allow me to be ready for maybe like a 5 to 6 minute performance.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
if I'm really honest, but it's really intensively, and I'll go back and forth, like, over and over, like the poem backwards to forwards, like making sure I know every single. But the thing is, I do that and I still end up missing out lines sometimes. But I think the reason why it's good to know the poems like that is because when you perform them now, if you do miss a line, you've got such a flow with the poem and such an understanding of the poem that you can kind of just, you
yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean, just meander and kind of like style it out and just keep it with the same sort of energy.
Of
But yeah,
course,
I do miss poetry. I need to do some more. It's a shame
definitely.
that we went into lockdown because I plan to start doing some more and
Yeah,
start kind of like testing out my skill again. I
yeah.
feel like because it's been so long with this lockdown, I'm kind of going back to square one where I was when I did that last performance, because I did it, but now it's like it's been so long. I'm gonna have to kind of go through that same process again. But it will
Yeah,
come.
a
It will
hundred
come.
percent. Is it like it's like kind of like muscle memory, isn't it? In terms of getting to that practice again, like you kind
Yeah,
of do a few like little bits here and there, and like okay,
yeah.
it's back again. And
Muscle memory. Exactly
yeah,
that.
there we go. And do you kind of study other people as well in terms of how they might pronounce words or like how they might say their poems or talks, like for instance, other poets or TED Talks, or do you
You know
study?
what? Yeah, that's a good question. Um, I don't actually watch a lot of other poets, or well, I do watch them, but I don't
Yeah.
really study their techniques because I feel like my poetry, yeah, like I feel like I don't conventionally fit into what we understand now as a poet, and I never have.
Mm.
Because if I'm really honest, I didn't ever want to be a spoken word poet, but
Yeah.
someone I got involved in this agency. It was like a talent development program that was international across like about maybe 15, 20 different European countries, and they bring talents together. And they're the ones who told me to start doing spoken word poetry. But how I saw it is that I'm going to deliver my poems in a way that I would speak, or maybe in a more elaborated way of how I would spit them. Like, because I
Mm.
used to rap when I was younger.
Sick.
So when you ask me about who do I analyze, I don't really analyze because I find that poets have a real strong poetic style.
Mm.
There's certain dramatic pauses, there's certain elongation of words. I don't do that. As I'm talking to you now is how I deliver poems.
Mm.
But they will have a rhyme to them and maybe a flow to them, or maybe, a few kind of linguistic kind of like techniques to them. But I don't really fit into the style. I don't do the like, each time he looks into the eye,
Yeah.
I can see. I don't really do all of that. I don't. I've I've never really felt like that kind of was identifiable with how I am as a person. I felt like if I'm going to do poetry, I want you to just kind of like listen to me as a person. Like
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
just I'm
definitely.
literally just talking to you, and usually there's something in there that I want you to kind of listen and take on as like some sort of moral of from the
Mm.
story. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah. I was gonna
I
ask
should.
actually.
That's a good question. I should really maybe watch some more people and maybe maybe get some extra edge to what I do.
Yeah.
Lionheart, my friend Lionheart, I would watch a lot. I do watch George the Poet. I feel like
Mhm.
George the Poet kind of is similar to me in terms of how he does, how he delivers it in a talking style.
Yeah.
Um, Sully Breaks, I used to watch as well. That's,
Hmm.
that's, that's someone else that I know. Um, Terrell the Poet, who's coming on strong, and he's got his poetry events and his organization. I like what he does as well, and he's so new as well. He's only been in it for a couple of years, but he's come on tremendously strong. Yeah, there's a few. There's a few.
Wicked, man. 'Cause I was going to ask actually how you kind of got into poetry as well, and you answered it there, and along with how you would describe your own style in terms of poetry. So that kind of talking way of doing things, which is what I love as
Yeah,
well. That kind of natural flow, as you said,
yeah.
as you're talking to me, how you
Oh yeah.
perform your poetry, which is brilliant. Kind of, it's just
Thank
so
you.
natural to me, which is
Yeah.
brilliant. How long have you been doing it for now? Is it is it quite
Um,
recent, like about a year or two?
long. Nah, do you know what? This is the revelation now. I was doing poetry before I was doing presenting.
I was going to get into that actually
That's
as well.
that's the truth.
Wow.
That's the truth. Like, when I won the competition on SBTV, I had already been performing poetry in different countries
Wow.
and all around the UK. And in fact, when I won that competition, I had a show that was organized called An Evening with Aaron Roach Bridgeman,
Hmm.
which ultimately was a night where I was performing poetry. Um, I was, I think, what else did I do? I was performing poetry. I was basically hosting it. Bit of like, kind of like stand up, to be honest.
Mm.
I did a few drama monologues as well, and I had a few performers. But it's just that the the SPTV thing was unprecedented. Nobody knew it was gonna come. Nobody knew I was gonna win it. So everything kind of just kind of molded into one. But I was doing poetry. I started doing poetry when I joined the talent development program that I was with, and that was maybe in, bro. That might have been like 2010. I've been doing poetry for like 10 years, bro.
Wow. Bro, that's
Yeah,
sick. That's wicked,
at
man. Like,
least 10 years.
yeah. And how did you get into doing poetry? Was it someone who inspired you to hear family or friends, or did you hear something, think I want to do that, or?
Uh, Poetry, I was inspired first. I was writing poetry. I was a written poet before I was a spoken poet. And Carol Ann Duffy uh, was a poet. She was the poet laureate for this country as well at one point. She
Mm.
was a poet that her whole style just really, it hit me because I felt like she wrote in a way that I understood completely. And the way that she disguised meaning with metaphor was something that just like I remember just falling in love with it, and I was like, this is something that I would love to do. And I swear to God, she was the reason why I started writing poetry, as well as also it came from doing English lit in school, and I was like, you know what, yeah, I can write like this. And
Yeah.
I was like, I want to show that you can be a young brother from the hood
Mm-hmm.
and still manipulate high English in the same way that those who are the most uh, respected scholars in the country can. So when I started writing for that reason, I really wanted to show that you can be from wherever you're from and still utilize the English language in an elaborate way. And that's why I started writing poetry. In
That's
terms of
100%.
spoken poetry,
Mm-hmm.
I got forced into it by Roots and Roots, who were the
What is
talent
it?
development program that I became part of. And they threw me on stage in Hungary. They threw me on stage at
Wow.
ITV first, and then they threw me on stage in Hungary. And I don't regret it, because I feel like sometimes you got to be thrown in at the deep end.
Yeah, of course.
And
Do you feel like that's the best way that you learn, just getting thrown into the deep end, or do you want to prepare
well,
like a lot before you actually do something?
I think my whole career, like the whole inception of my careers has been being thrown in at the deep end.
Mm.
Presenting, I didn't really want to do either, but somebody,
Really?
yeah, I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted
Oh
to write.
wow.
I didn't want to be seen.
Too late.
And yeah, I didn't want to be seen. Like, coming from the kind of background that I come from as well, it wasn't really, you know, putting your face all out there wasn't really something that was ever championed.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to write, and then some guys that I was writing for, they basically threw me in front of camera and told me to do it, and this worked. And so I
Yeah.
started that way. So I was thrown in the deep end there. Poetry, I was thrown on stage at ITV, and then thrown on stage in Hungary in front of how many people on live TV in Hungary. Like, so yeah, the deep end is how I've learned to swim.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, how did you find those experience with ITV in Hungary? Was it like really scary for you, or did you kind of learn so much while she was there?
To be honest, yeah, it was scary, man. If I'm really honest with you, even to now, I still get nerves. It's just that now I have a much more advanced way of quelling those nerves.
Mm.
Yeah. But in the early days, bro, yeah, man, everything that I'd done was, if you really, the reason why I've worked on my memory so much in terms of hosting without no paper and presenting with no paper is
Hmm.
because back in the early days, I was so nervous that you could see my hand shake when
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have paper in my hand. So from a very early stage, I started learning to memorize things. So when I come on stage, I can hold the mic and just say it from memory rather than holding the paper and you can see my hand shaking.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's been a journey, man. It's been a crazy
Definitely.
journey, but it's been wicked, man.
Wicked, man. Like you fully deserve everything you get, man. I like what you say, man. You put in that work for the years, man. The things you've done are so sick, man. And do you still want to be a journalist at some point as well in your life, or is that on the back burner for the time being?
Do you know what? I think being a presenter and doing documentaries, especially like how I do, I think without even meaning to,
You kind of
you
like are
then,
like a journalist, aren't you? Yeah,
you're a journalist. Like,
yeah.
you venture into the world of journalism. Like, what
Mm.
we do is journalism. It's like I'm retelling stories. I'm delving into explore these stories and these things that are happening. I'm speaking to people to find out answers and find out what's going on. And at the end of it, I'm giving you a conclusion. That is a
Definitely,
journalist. The same thing, but
definitely.
I'm a visual journalist.
Yeah, cool. Like I want to talk. I would love to talk about your documentaries, man, because obviously you've done some wicked ones. But going back to what you said earlier about your time at school, actually, like during English lessons, how did you find your time at school? What did you really absorb what the teachers told you, or did you find it really difficult? Or was that a stupid question?
Well, at school,
Yeah.
I was um I was a bit of a problem,
Oh, really?
but I think I was more problematic because I had ability, quite advanced ability, but my behavior was at the advanced stages of unacceptable as well. So
Really?
why I say I was problematic is that they didn't really know what to do with me, because you have the student now who is academically able,
Mm-hmm.
but also temperamental and explosive. So what do you do in that situation? And in a lot of cases, I was suspended from some of my classes. I was sometimes suspended from classes in general, or I was put with maybe a certain teacher. Luckily for me, I became really close to the deputy head of the school. Like, he really understood me,
Mm.
and that helped me in my journey. But if I'm really honest with you, school, it was fun, but I had a massive reputation for being, yeah, being a bit
Yeah.
of a Yeah.
Yeah, damn. I was going to ask about that journey thing as well. You said it kind of in a way motivated you and like kind of carved your journey in a way. And what kind of way did it help? Do you think it carved your journey to now your time at
I
school?
think I think being misunderstood
Hmm.
and being angry to the extent of being uh, unapproachable or not being able to deal with me added a lot to me in my journey because I went on to become a behavior specialist as well. So
Yeah, for sure.
I'm qualified in dealing with challenging behavior in young adults, and uh, that is a part of my life that I have done for a lot of years as well, alongside presenting, which is maybe something that some people don't know. And the reason why I say it's added to me professionally is because if you look at what I've gone into in terms of documentaries, it really is the same issues and the same phenomena that I was dealing with as a behavior specialist and that I was dealing with as a young man myself in terms of crazy split second decisions, anger, adolescent anger, adolescent misunderstanding. Like, I feel like what I experienced has directly led me into what I've gone on to do, but maybe not realizing at the time, and also maybe in a roundabout way. Do you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
definitely, definitely. And kind of going on from your journey from there to your documentary making, before we actually talk about which ones you've done actually, what is the process like when it comes to making a documentary? Do people approach you to make them, or do you approach, say, X, Y, and Z? So like, I've got an idea for, say, this kind of documentary. Let's take it from there.
Sorry, hold on.
That's all right.
Can you still see me?
I can still see you. Yeah, I can still see
Yeah,
you.
sorry.
That's all right, bro.
Yeah. I think something happened on my screen. Sorry, but it's all right.
That's all right.
Okay. So documentaries. The very first process, part of the process, is working out what story you want to tell.
Yeah.
What has happened? What has happened that has sparked an idea in your mind? What is happening that maybe people don't know about, or what is happening that people do know about, but there's another angle on that people don't know about, or that
Mm,
could be very interesting to tell. Yeah,
definitely.
that's the first part of the process.
Mm,
Then you finally get yourself to a point where you have an idea like that. Then you start to research information to do with that idea. It's a massive research process. You research information, but then you also research people who you can speak to who are directly related to that
mhm.
idea as well. Um, and that's all before it's even been commissioned. And then you might have something now that you can put together as a write-up and say this is what you want to do. Then you've got to go and get it in front of commissioners, whether it be at a channel, whether it be at a platform, whether it be at a production company. Hopefully someone believes in your idea as well.
Yeah.
And then you finally get it in front of somebody in terms of commissioning. Hopefully they like it and want to commission it. At that point there, more work starts, more research, more structure into how you're going to tell your story.
Mhm.
What is going to be the story? What's the entrance? What's the relevance? Why are you here?
Yeah.
Why are you, Georgio, talking about uh, hip hop um, in this instance? It's because you have this organization or whatever, or maybe it could be something else. You know what I mean? So it's like you need to have a entrance angle, and then at which point you've got a storyboard for how you're going to approach this. You've got people you're going to speak to. You know what you're going to speak about. You start filming. You go through the filming process. Um, then you might have a voiceover process, the post-production process, and it might finally come out and you wish for the best. But I forgot to say that going back to that commissioning stage, getting commissioned is extremely difficult.
No, bro, I can imagine, man.
You might go to numerous commissioners who all say no. You might then find someone that sees value in it. You might find no one that sees value in it. You might have to start that process all over again. I can't lie, documentaries is a very yeah, it's not easy. But when
Yeah.
you get it right, it's a beautiful thing.
No, I can imagine, man.
Beautiful
Can I, what?
journey.
Definitely, man. Like, how long did it kind of take, say, from beginning to end to actually fully finish a whole process of taking it to commissions to then actually filming it, doing a voiceover to actually having it complete? Is it like,
Well,
say,
we're at
several months or a couple of years maybe, or?
well, the one that
Mhm.
I'm doing, the one I'm hoping to do next right now has taken us, I would say, nearly a year to even just get to the stage of being able to actually start filming.
Wow.
You know
Damn.
what I mean? But saying that, there's been projects that I've done where it's quick turnover, where I've done like a whole series of like 6 episodes or 4 episodes in the space of like maybe 2 months, bro.
Wow. 2 months.
Yeah, maybe two to
Bro.
3 months. Yeah,
Mad. I
like quick
know.
turnover projects.
Well, that's
They call them
mad.
quick turnovers because they got a quick turnover. You gotta turn
Yeah.
it on really quickly.
I mean, what's that like for you then? Is it like super pressure on you to fully get those, like, say, 6 episodes done in 2 months? Or is it like
Do
go?
you know what? Yeah, I was thinking about it the other day, and I remember um there was one that I think there was one because the thing is, it's different episodes, different stories.
Mm.
I remember there was one series that I was doing that it was so manic and so back to front, so many different shoots that I actually got confused, bro. I remember there was one shoot that I was doing, and in my head, I was thinking it was the other story.
Yeah.
It was so much that was going on that I completely forgot what story we're doing now. And yeah, I can't lie.
Damn.
Sometimes when it's really, really busy, I think you miss out on the intricate details and you miss out
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
enjoyment of what's happening because it's so busy that you don't have enough time to think.
Yeah, I can
There's also
imagine.
one day when I remember we were driving up and down the motorway. I think we went to Oxford, went to Leeds, and I think we had a shoot in London as well. London, Oxford, Leeds, all in one day.
In one
Yeah,
day?
yeah, it was crazy, bro. Like the last shoot was like at night time. And then I remember as well, because we've been on the motorway all day, we didn't have really get a chance to eat. And I remember that day, I think we ate McDonald's like 2 or 3 times, but it was the only thing because it's the only thing on the gas in the service station.
Yeah.
On the way back, it was the only thing that was open in the service station. And yeah, bro, those days are crazy. But I wouldn't change it for the world, bro. It's like I love being busy. I love being
Yeah.
active. I love the up and down. But yeah, it does take a lot out of you. You got to learn to try and get your sleep. And I personally, I don't really sleep that much. I sleep maybe
Yeah.
around 4 hours a
Same.
day.
Yeah.
Good.
For
So
I'm the
good.
same as you, man. I don't really sleep that much for this, man. But talk about those kind of like manic days of doing like so many episodes. Do they kind of stories and episodes kind of cross over? So you might go, okay, do a bit of this one here after say half the day, then do another half of this episode that second half, and then kind of go to a different one the next day and this and that, or do you
Yeah.
just focus on one episode
Nah.
per day?
If
Per
you're
day?
doing a series, it could end up being multiple different shoots. I remember as well, there was a time when I was doing 2 1-hour specials and I filmed them both at the same time. They were completely different subject matters, but they got filmed at the same time. So I might have
Mm.
been in a week, I might have been doing 3 shoots for each of those different programs. It's also knowing how to turn that mind on because one of them was a little bit more light, so I could be a little bit more, but then one of them was actually quite dark. So it's
Mm.
like I had to kind of be in my zone for that one as well. Yeah, do you know
Yeah,
what? One thing I don't talk about enough is just how much it takes out of you mentally and
yeah.
emotionally.
I was gonna get into
Doing
that, man.
yeah, yeah, doing them
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, because I was going to get into the kind of how it affected you. Because like we've mentioned, done things like sort of stop and search, the one punch killers, too, those sort of things. I remember watching you on the right stuff actually a while back, talking about
Yeah.
the 8-year-old smugglers, drug
Oh
smugglers.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, how you see they don't really talk about it that much? I mean, how does it affect you though when you do such dark things, man? Like, did it affect you physically and mentally? How did it affect you, bro?
Yeah. Do you know? If I'm really honest, yeah, I remember there was a scene that I filmed in 8 years old and smuggling drugs, where after I had filmed it, I had got I had got incredibly emotional.
Mm,
Like I remember I felt like I wanted to cry.
yeah,
And I was like, what the hell is happening here? Because I'm quite a, you know what I mean? I'm
yeah,
quite a
yeah.
stern. But then what I think it was is that the 2 young men that I spoke to, it made me emotional because I could see where their life was going, but they couldn't see it.
Mm,
And it just really, I don't know, bro. Like I remember I couldn't even finish doing the piece to camera. Piece to camera is when you're just looking at the camera, I'm doing like a talking bit.
okay, yeah.
I just couldn't even do it, bro. I just got so emotional, and I was like, this is mad, like,
Mm,
and that's like, and that's what happens. I did another story about a girl called Sophie Lancaster who was killed and bullied for being a goth, like just the way that in which she was like beaten by some idiots and passed away just to stop. And then meeting her mum, the whole story was just like it was just deeply emotional, bro. I remember her mum gave me like a wristband that had SOPHIE on it, because the mum made a foundation called the Sophie Foundation. It stood for Stamp Out Prejudice, Hatred, Intolerance Everywhere. I remember I kept that band on for years, bro. I think I only took it off because I think I was swimming somewhere or doing something somewhere. I took it off, and that was the first time I took it off, and I haven't really put it on since then. But I had it on my wrist literally for years, bro.
Really?
I wore it everywhere, yeah, because these
Wow.
stories, like, they stay with you, bro. They affect you, right?
Of course you do.
And I don't really speak about it. People will say, "Oh, how do you do it?" And I'm like, to be honest, I'm all right. I am good, but if I'm really honest, bro, like sometimes the level of trauma, the level of devastation that I've seen and people that I've met who've gone through it, you have to be a complete alien or completely insensitive to not feel that pain as well. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, bro. I mean, have you had to kind of talk to people afterwards about your feelings afterwards, like even like maybe therapists or even just like family and friends to say, look, this is really taking this toll on me, like mentally and physically. I've seen a lot of stuff recently.
Do you know what? That's something that I've been looking into, because I spoke to a therapist and she was really angry at me because she's saying that even her as a therapist, she has someone that she offloads onto. She said to me that anyone that has people who offload onto them, whether it be a professional capacity or not, they need to have someone who they offload onto as well, because she called it breaking the cycle. If you don't offload yours as well, you're breaking the cycle.
Of course.
And so something that I've been looking at, especially if I'm going to go into doing any more darker documentaries, which at the moment doesn't seem like it's going to happen, but if I do, and even in general, I think I'm going to find a therapist to speak to, just to like kind of like speak through some of the things that I've seen and heard, and and
Yeah,
experience, because I think there's a stigma with therapy, but I don't think there needs to be a stigma. I
of
think
course not.
people need to speak to someone sometimes, and even just in general, just sometimes just get things off your chest that maybe you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, that you don't really have someone around you that you can speak to, because maybe
Yeah,
it's a bit too personal.
of
Speak
course,
to a
bro.
therapist, man, and just get it off your chest. Sometimes it's not even just about getting therapy, it's about offloading.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely. Of course, bro. Because this is what I've actually mentioned to a few friends of mine actually during the podcast, where even podcasting is in a way therapy, because like you just said, when
oh
you're
yeah,
getting things off your chest, man, like people wouldn't know about you. And
yeah,
like you said, like I'm fine, I'm cool, but really you're going through a lot. And
oh
just to
yeah, bro,
let
yeah,
people know about what you're dealing with is such a weight off your shoulders, isn't it? And it's not a bad
100%.
thing at all. It shouldn't be a stigma about what, especially guys go through, man, because we go through a lot of bullshit, man. Like they think, oh, we're guys, we don't feel emotion, we don't do this or that, but we go through a lot of things, man. And yeah, we have to put on a strong face sometimes, but just getting things off your chest, man, is such a good feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, and you're right. And I think, do you know what it is? I think that is the problem with there as well. Like, oh, we're guys, we don't feel things. That is the stereotype that a lot of us trying to subscribe to. But the truth is, if we're really honest, us men are probably even more emotional.
Yeah.
And the reason we are is because we have so much pent up emotional baggage that we feel like it's not manly to express or release it. In
Mm.
fact, what we need to do is start becoming more open. In fact, I was talking to my friend yesterday about this, because we've got quite a few things that are happening around us right now in my friendship circle. Quite a few illnesses. There's been a few deaths. There's been incarceration, all types of things. And it's
Oh,
like,
sorry to hear, bro.
one thing that we were talking about is that we need to be more open. But even
Mm.
in our friendship circles, we tend to not be open enough. Like, we don't tell each other everything that's happening. And that is that whole silly machismo,
Yeah.
over masculinity type thing that's going on right there. We need to drop that
Yeah, 100%.
and be open.
100%.
Because if you can't be open with your closest friends, who can you be open with? Do you know what I
No,
mean?
I couldn't agree more. I was about to say the same thing. Like, if you can't open to your closest friends, then who can you talk to?
Yeah.
100%, bro. But you know what? The work that you're doing is unbelievable, bro. And keep it up, man. Honestly, it's so good. I was going to kind of add into that actually one more thing before we go into something a little bit more lighthearted, man.
No problem.
Like is when you do documentaries, has anyone ever come to you to offer you to do a documentary with you, but you kind of had to turn it down, because it might be a little bit too much, or thinking, oh, I might not do that one, or
Do you know what? Yeah, because I do them now. It's like anyone that has an idea of something they want to do, they come to me all the time.
yeah,
And it's like, I think people think, because I've done quite a few, I think people think that it just happens. I
yeah,
don't think people realize the amount. that goes into whatever the idea or project might be before it even gets the commission. I think some people think that I just have some sort of power now that I can just say, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's go and bring it to TV and make it happen.
Yeah.
I wish I did have that power, because sometimes some of the ideas that people have are actually, for me, I find quite interesting. There was one idea that a boy had. He's a rapper actually, and he is someone that was in, he's an orphan. And he had an amazing idea about looking at what orphans go through. But I don't think, obviously we all know the story of Oliver and Annie or whatever else it is, but I don't think we actually realize that there's a lot of people who have lost both of their parents when they are babies
Yeah.
and end up being orphans. And his story was something like that. And obviously he became quite rough. He got involved in the streets, but what he wanted to look at was stories about people who are orphans in orphanages or just whatever the experience might be. An amazing story, but like I said, I don't have the superpower just to get things happening. I bring it into meetings, I try to write up as an idea, but sometimes if you can't get people to see the vision or believe in it or see scope in it, it can't happen. So yeah, to answer your question, it happens a lot, bro. Probably weekly, to be honest. If
Wow.
I'm honest.
That's mental, bro. Wow. And going back to kind of your presenting actually stuff, how did you get into that? Was that like a natural, like you said, you just poetry first and did that? Was it a natural segue for you to go into presenting? How did you fall into that?
Presenting came through when I came out of uni. I wanted to write. I did a work experience with the Times newspaper. I did one with Total Film magazine. I did another one with Start Your Business magazine / Start Your Business TV. I then realized that maybe journalism is not as dynamic as I thought it was. It was a little bit more staccato, a bit more like kind of rigid in terms of what we do. So I started to think about, well, what do you like, Roach? I call myself Roach. They don't call me Roach. Like, what do you like, Roach? And I was like, do you know what? I love music. So I was like, let me try and see if I can start writing for music platforms. So I found some online guys. I found stuff that was like, up and coming. Started doing that. And then one of the guys that I was writing for, I told them it would be a great idea to go to a movie premiere and film it. And they were like, yeah, because at the time, like, urban platforms weren't really doing that yet. So they managed to get the access. They went down to this film that was coming out. That was Another Hood. I don't know if you remember that movie, Another Hood. Yeah. And so we went down there and they said, Aaron, you should come as well. I said, there's no problem, I'll come as well. When I get down there, they're like, go in front of camera. I was like, no, I don't do that. I don't go in front of camera. It turned into an argument back and forth. And then in the end, I said, you know what? I'll just do it as a favor to you. And when I did that, it just really worked. And that started off my presenting career. After that, I started doing a lot of hosting live on stages, hosting music nights, open mic nights, just hosting in general. I think hosting was really what kind of set me apart in terms of my presenting ability, because I don't think people realize that hosting a live stage and presenting is two different disciplines. Like presenting, you've got a camera, you can say, cut, let's do that again. Hosting is live on the stage. It's like theater acting and film acting. When you're on a stage, there's nowhere to hide, bro. Like, you have to get it right on the spot every night, whatever it might be. And I think that's where my career, that's where it started to happen. And I started to believe that maybe I could do something. Because in my journey, if I'm really honest with you, I've had people in my journey that had more faith in me than I had in myself. That's happened a lot in my journey. To be honest, my whole journey has been like that. But I think at that point there, I started to realize, maybe I do have something here that I can use. And I started to push towards it.
Yeah, you really do, bro. I mean, who I was going to ask actually, who has helped you the most in your journey, do you feel?
If I'm really honest, a guy called AJ Jasinski is his real surname. He used to go by AJ Power. He's the person who first put me, well, firstly, he directed a short film that I did when I first came out of uni. And that short film was really quite successful at the time, actually. It was quite popular. And it also led on to a lot more things for me. And then he took me from that and said, I like the way that you speak. There's something about you. I think we should do like a little news flash that's about music and entertainment. So we started doing that every, I think it was Tuesday in Brixton. I would travel all the way to Brixton from Ruislip, where I was working at the time, all the way across the Central Line. And then that is actually what I ended up using as the audition for SBTV. Then there were 3 ladies who decided to start managing me very early in my career, who also did the night that I did called An Evening with Aaron Roach Bridgeman, Marlena, Rianne, and Hanny. 3 ladies that said we want to manage you, and I was like, why the hell would you want to manage me? But they were like, they saw something. They helped me. Another lady called Nicola. What's Nicola's real surname? Nicola's real surname is Murray. Nicola Murray.
Nicola Murray, yeah.
Nicola Murray, who now lives in Ireland. She is the person who hired me for a show, an open mic show, and then she loved what I did so much. She actually did the application for SBTV.
Oh, really?
On my behalf. Yeah, on my behalf. And then she also, after I won that, she tried to help pushing me by doing like some of my digital stuff. She ran my Instagram page when I first opened it.
Oh, really?
I wasn't really into all that stuff. I wasn't into the Instagram stuff. She set up my website. She bought my domain for my website. She did a lot of stuff to help me. And then I have to give it to SBTV and Jamal Edwards. Jamal Edwards has always been an advocate, even up to now. Jamal is an advocate in me. Like he has faith in my ability. He knows what I can do. He's really helped me as well. And then also my friends, man. Like I've had some friends around me in my social circle that have really believed in me and helped me to push on to what I've gone on to do.
That's brilliant.
So yeah.
Yeah, give him a massive shout out to all of them, man, as well. And I want to kind of get into SBTV as well, actually, because I know Jamal as well. You've done a lot of sort of amazing work with them, like a few of the bits, like such as the Black Cab ride with Ice Cube and Kevin Hart, and those sort of things.
That was sick.
That was sick. But I was watching that again recently, but it was so sick. I mean, how did that come about? Did Jamal reach out to you and say, like, we're doing this interview with these two, like, do you want to come down and do it with us?
Yeah, like basically, how did that one happen actually? I think they said, look, we've got Ice Cube and Kevin Hart. I think the cab situation might have been patterned already. And like with what I loved about SBTV and why SBTV made me such a great presenter in terms of ideas is that SBTV, when things happen, they'll say like, Aaron, this is happening. You've got to write up whatever it is. No one gave me questions to ask. No one gave me ideas. So I said, okay, cool. I went to 99p store. I went to other places. I tried to find a cube or a heart.
Yeah.
So I found this tin heart-shaped box. And I called it the Heart Cube.
Yeah, sick.
And then inside the Heart Cube had different quotes and lyrics that they had to try and translate. Questions as well, and like, do you know what I mean? I tried to be creative. I also put on the Heart Cube, if you look carefully, you can see it's got the Hoodrich sticker. Hoodrich is now a massive clothing label that so many people know. But at the time, they were still new. But even then, I was thinking about how can I help people. So I put a Hoodrich sticker on it. I put Nines' lyrics in there, like loads of different kind of like UK rap lyrics in there, and I made them have to like try and translate it. Just like that was me. How can I be out of the box? How can I do something that maybe someone else is not doing? And I was doing that all throughout my career at SB. And I thank SB so much because they allowed me to do that. They would never tell me this is what you got to do. They would say, this is what's happening. What are you going to do? And everything that you saw me do on SBTV was all me.
Well, that's why I think you're such a. That's why I rate you highly, bro. Because that's like you said, what you do is sick, and not everyone can do it, especially with such mega stars like those two. Like,
oh yeah, true.
Yeah,
it can be quite daunting. That's true.
Yeah. How did you feel then when you're like sitting in the cab with such two huge stars? I mean, how did that make you feel, bro?
You know, it was the second time that I had met the second time that I had met Kevin Hart. So with Kevin, I was a little bit more calmer. But Ice Cube is a very stern guy. Ice Cube really analyzes you before he will even start to give you any type of opening up. And I could tell that he was doing that to me. I could tell that because he wasn't really warm at first, whereas Kevin is always warm. He's always on 10. But then I feel like, as is right though, I had to kind of earn his respect. And when he see that I knew my shit, and he knew, and he could see that I'm not some idiot. He started to kind of warm to me and things, and that's when it started to get good, and it was like fun and jokes and laughs. Yeah, it was good, man.
That's wicked, man. Like I said, it was such a wicked interview, man. Such a sick one. And do you find those sort of scenarios more nerve-wracking than others, say like a one-to-one interview, or do you find it was such a quick thing that you didn't have time to be nervous?
You know, I don't find any of them nerve-wracking anymore, you know? I don't, if I'm really honest with you, I've never found it nerve-wracking from the start. The only thing that happened one time was when I met Alicia Keys the first time,
I was going to get
and we
into
were
that.
bantering because Alicia Keys has got a lot of banter. We were bantering, and then at one point I turned around and looked at her, and I realized, bro, like she is actually so beautiful.
Yeah.
And so like it threw me for a minute, and I remember my cameraman was like, "Okay, rolling." I was like, "No, I'm not ready yet." And then Alicia starts laughing, like Alicia's laughing, trying to banter me, and I was like, "All right, cool." I was like, "Now give me 30 seconds." Boom, and I got back into it, and we had an incredible interview. Like Alicia's amazing. She's an amazing individual. Such a beautiful soul. So easy to talk to.
She really is, man.
Humble for who she is.
Yeah, can I get into that as well? Like how, because that, like I said, I was about to get into that one as well. That's such a wicked interview, but it just flowed so nicely as well. Was that what? Would you say that's one of your favorite interviews that you've done today? That Alicia Keys one?
Yeah, I like spending time with Alicia. Like I like Alicia. Yeah, I would say it's one of my personal favorites. I think one of my most, I think my most entertaining favorites are probably Nikki and Kelly Rowland.
I was going to
Nicki
ask about
Minaj
Kelly
and
Rowland.
Kelly Rowland.
Yeah.
I think the one that most impacted me on a personal basis was probably Richard Branson, because I remember Richard Branson just being so insightful and so hungry for more. Like I remember I asked him like about, you know, how he's doing and where he's living. And I remember he explained to me that he had been in Poland that morning. I think he was in Tokyo yesterday. He's in London now, and he planned to be in New York later. And when I worked it out, I was
Damn.
like, bro, that's like 4 countries in 4 days. But when he said it really coy, almost like he was embarrassed. Like, you know, he's a very humble person. But then what really impressed me is that even though this guy owns an island, he owns the biggest train company in our country, the biggest airline in our, one of the biggest airlines in our country, he's still so hungry to achieve more.
Yeah.
He was really transfixed on trying to make us have commercial flights to space. And I was like, it's amazing, like that a man can be this successful, but then yet still be this hungry. And it showed me that I can never get complacent.
Definitely.
Never get complacent.
Never get complacent, right? Ever. And would you say that's what your most insightful and most knowledgeable interview that you've done with Richard Branson?
Yeah, the thing is, it was actually really, really short, but it was just analyzing him and what he was saying and how he places still so much enthusiasm and optimism and motivation and hunger into what he's doing. I was just really impressed, but also shocked by that, because you think
Yeah.
when a man has so much, you think to yourself that he might be a bit more content,
Mm-hmm.
but he's just still so motivated to do more. It just really impacted me on a personal
Yeah.
level.
Definitely, bro. He's someone I looked up to for so long as well, bro. Richard Branson, and for you to actually talk to him and learn
Yeah,
from
bro.
someone like that is, bro. That's so sick,
I'm
man.
thankful.
It
Very
definitely,
thankful.
very. Yeah, it's amazing, man. And one more thing, actually, before we go, is I remember
Yeah.
seeing your WhatsApp series. How'd
Yes.
that get on? How did you find that?
Yeah, that's good, man. Do you know what? WhatsApp is now moving to Sky Arts and has a new name.
Oh,
I'm not
really?
sure. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to even. Am I allowed to say it yet? I don't know
Yes,
if I'm allowed to.
that's right. We can
I
always
don't
leave
know,
it as
but
it
yeah,
is.
we've got a new name, and
Uh-huh.
we've got a new channel. We're going to be on Sky Arts. It's going to be a new time as well. So it's going to be a lot more like WhatsApp TV is so fun. But I also,
Addicted.
because it's a morning show on Saturdays, it had to be kind of like pre-Watershed, so you couldn't really be too cheeky, naughty. But now we're going to be after Watershed, so it's going to be a whole different show. So watch out for that. It's coming within the next, I would say, 2 months.
Sick.
So yeah, watch out for that. We're filming
Wi-
the main parts to it next week.
Is
The
it?
main links, me and Ramel. Yeah, so keep a
Yes.
lookout for that.
Sick one, man. How is Ramel, by the way? Obviously I know about Ramel as well. How is she?
Yeah, Ramel is doing amazingly. She's doing so much stuff. She's got an amazing agent. She's doing well at Capital Extra. Ramel's career is really going from strength to strength. Like I can see her being one of the biggest things that we have, and I'm very happy for her. You
Me
know what I
too,
mean?
man. Definitely. I know about for years, but I think we did one thing. I think I did a show for her with the orchestra years back. So, like,
Yes.
I've known about her for years, and the work she does is also brilliant as well, man. How do you two know each other?
Um, we knew each other from the industry because Ramel London was a presenter with Link Up TV.
Yeah,
I
remember?
was a presenter with SBTV. Then I got involved with WhatsApp TV where she was already, and then we became. But we were always friends before that, but we became really really close when we started co-hosting What's Up TV. That took our relationship to a whole new level because we're working so intensively and so closely, having so many conversations. And to be honest, me and Ramel, we have like real personal conversations as well. Like, it's not often that your professional acquaintances become knowledgeable to your personal situations as well. But with me and Ramel, we have a friendship as well as a professional relationship.
Brilliant, man. Brilliant, bro. How did that whole series come about, actually? What's up?
Do you know what? It was happening way before me, you know. I was one of the newest additions to the team.
How is
Um,
it?
yeah, but they've been going for years. They started off as a street DVD,
Mm-hmm.
and then they got themselves onto, I think, Pick TV. And then they managed to work their way into being on Sky One, which is where I came in. I came in around that time. And I started off as a presenter, like just contributing. And then when Jacqueline stepped down from the show, they wanted to find a new co-host for the main show. I didn't realize that people were putting themselves forward. So I thought if they wanted me, they were going to ask me. No one asked me, but then someone showed me that actually know they're auditioning. So I was like, oh, so when I found that out, I was like, look, guys, I would want to audition as well. Did my audition. They said that I killed it. I felt like it was all right.
Yeah.
I felt like it could have been better. But Ramel even said to me, look, if I do it with anybody, I would like it to do you because we have a good chemistry. So I was like, you know what? Let's try and make it happen. And I did, man. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely, man. That's another thing that absolutely smashed. Like I watched it; it was so sick, man.
Yeah.
Like you could tell as well that straight with that chemistry you have with each other.
Oh, bro, it's so fun. I can't even tell you how fun it is. We have so much fun.
Is it like a whole day shoot per episode that you do for this kind of thing?
For the main links, we're going to be filming about maybe 4 or 5 days.
Okay.
Yeah, but then in terms of the series as a whole, we're filming for about 2 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, different shoots because we got different presenters as well. So different shoots, different presenters, different locations. Yeah, man, it's
That's
sick.
sick.
Look out for it.
Will do, bro. Definitely. I'll leave a link below as well, actually, for everyone to watch it as well after. That's sick, man. But you know what? Before we go, have there been any kind of like dream projects that you still want to work on to this day?
Yeah, do you know? If I'm really honest, yeah, what I really want to do, like, I love David Attenborough, innit? Like,
Yeah,
I
same.
love David Attenborough. Like, so if I tell you a secret, the secret is that one day I would love to do animal documentaries.
That would be
But
sick.
before I get there, what I
Mhm.
want to do to build up to it is I want to do documentaries where I'm looking at different cultures or different things around the world.
Yeah.
Like I want to take documentary making to an international level,
Mm.
but with a relatable voice that kids that are just from a normal area in the inner city can watch it and be like, oh, raw, this guy's like me, but he's talking about shit happening in, you know what I mean? I think it's already getting there, but I want to make documentaries and factual entertainment, mainstream entertainment. I want to make it
Mm.
something that people just want to watch anyway.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of other dream projects, my big major aim is I want to set up my own school that's dedicated to behavior conditions and behavior issues. I want to work rehabilitatively and um, and therapeutically with young people who are suffering from whatever type of behavior, anger, um, conditions it is, and work with them on an intensive level and help them to kind of get back assimilated into society. Because I feel like a lot of times when you have young people that are like that, rather than getting back into the mainstream schooling or college or education, they just get thrown by the wayside. So if I'm to be honest, I think those two are my major aims. And also I'd love to have a talk show similar to like Parkinson. I don't know if you remember Parkinson when he
Of
used
course
to
it
like
is. Yeah.
interview people like intensively on the couch, go through their whole journey. I want to do like a modern version of that and make it fun. Man, I got a lot of plans for things that I want to do.
That is
God willing,
so
it
sick.
happens.
No, it
God
definitely
willing, it
will, my
happens.
brother. Definitely, it definitely will happen, my bro. Definitely. And one more thing, actually, I keep asking a million questions, man. Sorry,
Yeah,
but
it's all right.
but what was like some of the best lessons you've learned in your journey so far to get to this point?
I think the biggest lesson, and I'll leave you with this one, the biggest lesson that I think I learned is that you're gonna find yourself on in this journey, in tunnels, dark tunnels, and people always say to have tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm.
Tunnel vision is a real thing because when you're going to be in these dark tunnels, you're going to be at points in your career where you cannot see where this path you are taking is going. You have to have blind faith to know that this tunnel that you're in, even though it's dark at the moment, is going to lead to some sort of a light. That is the hardest part of your journey. That's going to be the hardest part of being in this industry. But you have to believe and understand that there is a light awaiting you, even if you cannot see it yet, and keep going towards it. Because trust me, it happened to me, it happens to all of us. Like it feels like, well, this is nothing's happening, it's going nowhere. And then you keep going and you see, oh, you see the glimmer, and then you get towards some form of light. So having that tunnel vision, that blind faith to understand that you're going towards something is the hardest thing to do because you can't see it, but you need to have it. And that's what I leave you with, man.
Well, that is the perfect way to end the podcast, my brother. Thank you so much. That is sick,
Thank you,
man.
brother.
My brother, thank you so much. But how can people find you, man?
Yeah, all you gotta do is Google my name, man, Aaron Roach Bridgeman. On Twitter, I'm A Roach Bridgeman. On Instagram, Aaron Roach Bridgeman. Facebook, Aaron Roach Bridgeman as well. Google my name. If you've got Sky, type my name into your Sky search. My programs will come up as well. And yeah, man, just keep supporting.
My guy. Yes, that's sick, man. But thank you for such a wicked episode, man. Thank you. It's wicked.
Thank you, brother.
I thank you, brother. And peace, everyone. Peace.
Yeah, you take care.
You
See
too,
you
brother.
soon.